All right, it is the Colin and Jim Breakfast Show. It's 2FM, the extended version, and then at 10 o'clock this morning, Fiona will be live till midday. Are you ready for it?
No, I'm not ready for it at all, because I got a call at 10 to 7 this morning.
10 to 7,
10 to 7.
Okay.
And I always presume somebody's died.
Yeah,
I hate those phone calls,
you know? And then obviously I presume Jerry had died, because the phone call was from his producer.
Okay.
But he isn't totally dead.
No, he's hanging on.
He's hanging on. I
thread.
sat on him last week, so I was afraid I might have killed him. But
Irish radio and television broadcaster Gerry Ryan has died at the age of 53. The RTE celebrity was found dead at his Leeson Street apartment in Ireland's capital, Dublin.
The world of Irish broadcasting has been rocked today by the tragic death of Gerry Ryan.
Gerry Ryan had worked in broadcasting for more than 30 years. He had presented one of Ireland's most popular weekday radio shows since 1988, along with numerous television programmes.
Today, nearly 2,000 people signed a book of condolence in RTE for the broadcaster who was found dead at his home yesterday.
I was a law student. It's a long time ago now. Must have been about third or fourth year law student, and pirate radio had become a big thing in Dublin. I worked for two of them, ARD and Big D Radio.
I don't see why they shouldn't be given their licence around, you know, because it's a really good station.
Coming up to 4:30 here on Big D. Get on down and do some dancing later on tonight, because in the roller disco in the Olympic Ballroom.
And unless you sold advertising on your own programme, you earned little or nothing. I got about £10 a week.
I was with Gerry in Pirates. The illegal radio. In 78 we were in Big D Radio together.
Good morning and welcome to listeners from Radio 1. This is Dave Fanning on RTE Radio 2 with the very first edition of The Rock Show, a regular feature on Radio 2 5 nights a week from midnight till 10 to 2 in the morning.
And myself came in with Marty Whelan as well into Radio 2 as it was called.
Yeah. It started off as Radio 2, and it started off, you must remember, not only as an answer to the pirate radio stations and as an answer to the direct competition of pop music programming which was coming on stream, not just in radio but in television, but it also was, you know, inevitably going to be another arm of the national broadcaster, and as such we legislatively had to, you know, deal with the requirements to keep our broadcasting within the public service remit: educate, entertain and inform. Now that's not always easy when you're dealing in a competitive pop music radio environment.
Radio 2 is a national radio service which pays, for example, every time Martin plays a record in there, we pay the people who wrote the record, the people who made the record.
So the big boys that we were up against were people like FM 104, which was classic rock, if I recall, in those days, and 98 FM. And of course in Cork you had the same stations. You had the same stations in the west of Ireland. And this was pre the smaller local stations coming on stream, which also turned out to be very localised and very competitive as well.
The National Media Research figures for RTE Radio 2 say that 36% of all Dubliners aged between 15 and 34 listen to it every day for an average 3.2 hours.
I came in here on the advice of a student colleague of mine who had been given a job as a radio producer and escaped from the legal profession, and he said, listen, you know, they're looking for people, they don't really seem to have a lot. I came in here, did an audition, read the sleeve notes off the back of a Glenn Campbell album as my script, and hey presto, suddenly got a job earning £78 a week.
We of Radio 1 rather
the adult station
looked down on these people coming from pirate radio.
You call them a young pop.
All these young pops, apart from Larry, that is.
I sat beside him in the office for 30 years, and every single day of my life I had a laugh. I came in and I went out much better than I came in.
He was there for a bunch of years, and the great years. He'd written about this in his book, the great years, in terms of I never felt I was in Led Zeppelin except when I was on those nights.
You had Mark Cagney doing his album show. I was doing the show that came before, 10 to 12, which was kind of like directed towards older school kids. And then you had Dave doing the rock show. It was really, in my opinion, to this day, an unbeatable schedule. And I was really happy.
The three of us, we just had a ball that I can't really necessarily totally describe, which would, the better way to describe it might be there's a lot of eulogies about Gerry today and all good. If Gerry was here now, he'd be saying, Fanny, for God's sake, at least you can tell the truth. Yeah. Gerry wasn't necessarily always good, a bit of a rogue a lot of the time, and that's what gave him the edge that made him what he was, which was absolutely brilliant.
On the Gay Byrne show, we sent a team of people off to the west of Ireland to survive, to do a survival thing. And so, as far as Gerry was concerned, it was getting a little dull as they reported into the programme every day.
Yes.
Is this so?
That's
they
right,
reported
yeah.
it every day. And so he decided to jizz it up a little bit.
But you know, you horrify the whole of the country with this tale told on radio of battering that poor lamb to death.
No, we didn't batter him to death. It was very humane, and we actually knocked him, I would imagine, dead or completely unconscious.
I think it was more horrifying for us.
It was more horrifying for us to watch him.
They killed the lamb.
They killed the lamb.
And they skinned the lamb, or whatever you do to a lamb before you cook it. And they probably made a couple of pullovers while they were at it. And then they cooked the lamb, and that's how they survived the night.
He was actually dead before there was any knives put to him. That's the only way we would have done it. It's the only way we could have done it. I don't think any of us could watch anything worse than that.
And then it transpired they hadn't killed a lamb at all.
Yeah.
But there were all sorts of things. Spoofing.